What if I told you the greatest lawman in the Wild West was not white? What if I told you he was a black man born into slavery, who became so legendary that outlaws would surrender rather than face him? What if I told you he arrested over 3,000 criminals in 32 years, killed 14 men in self-defense, and was never once wounded in a gunfight? What if I told you Hollywood knew his story, stole it, and turned him white on television? Summer evening, 1884. Dense woods near the Canadian River in Indian Territory, what we now call Oklahoma. The sun is setting, orange light filtering through pine trees. A man moves through the forest, silent as a shadow. He is 6 feet 2 inches tall, 200 pounds of muscle, dressed like a drifter in worn clothes and a faded hat. His name is Bass Reeves. He is 46 years old. He is a United States Marshal, and he is hunting 2 men who have murdered a family and been running for 6 months. Bass can hear everything: the snap of a twig under his boot, the breathing of his horse tied 100 yards back, the distant sound of voices ahead. He has been tracking these killers for 3 weeks across 75 miles of wilderness. He knows they are close now. He can smell their campfire smoke. He moves closer. Through the trees, he sees them. 2 white men sitting by a fire, rifles leaning against a log within reach. They think they are safe. They think no lawman would track them this deep into the territory. They are wrong. Bass steps out from the shadows, 2 pistols already drawn. The outlaws reach for their rifles. Bass fires twice. Both men drop before their hands touch the weapons. Bass walks forward, calmly, holsters 1 pistol, reaches into his coat, and pulls out an arrest warrant. He looks at the photographs on the paper. He cannot read the names because he was never taught to read as a slave, but he memorized the faces and the charges when someone read them to him 3 weeks ago. These are the men. He has never made a mistake. This was not his first arrest. It was his 1,247th. He would arrest more than 3,000 criminals before he retired. He would kill 14 men in self-defense and never suffer a single wound. He was the most successful lawman in American history, but Hollywood turned him white. Textbooks erased him completely. Until now. This is your stolen hero. This is Bass Reeves. This is not just a history lesson. This is theft exposure. By the end of this video, you will understand how they stole your heroes and rewrote them as white men. You will see why Hollywood could not let a black cowboy be the greatest. And you will know the real story behind the Lone Ranger, the masked hero, who was actually based on Bass Reeves before they whitewashed him for radio and television. Here is what you are about to learn. How a slave escaped during the Civil War and became the most feared United States Marshal in the West. The 3,000+ criminals he arrested, more than any other lawman in history. Why he arrested his own son for murder without hesitation, because the law was the law. How he walked into a Ku Klux Klan meeting of 40 armed men and made them back down with just his reputation. The evidence proving he inspired the Lone Ranger, and then Hollywood painted over him with white actors. Why textbooks buried his story for 110 years. This is not ancient history. Bass Reeves died in 1910. Your great-grandparents were alive. Your heroes were stolen and repainted white while your grandparents watched. Your children deserve to know the real greatest cowboy. After this, you will never watch a Western movie the same way again. Let me show you the truth they have been hiding. Bass Reeves was born in July of 1838 in Crawford County, Arkansas. He was born into slavery. His parents were enslaved by a man named William Steele. Reeves, a plantation owner and politician. Bass had several siblings. We do not know exactly how many, because slave owners did not keep complete records of slave families. To them, enslaved people were property, not human beings, with family trees worth documenting. When Bass was about 8 years old in 1846, he was sold. William Reeves gave Bass to his own son, George Reeves' property. George moved to Texas and took Bass with him. Bass would spend the next 16 years enslaved to George Reeves in Grayson County, Texas, one of the most brutal slave states in America. George Reeves was not just a farmer. He became a state legislator in Texas. He was a colonel in the Confederate Army during the Civil War. And when the war started in 1861, George took Bass with him as a personal servant. Bass was forced to accompany George into Confederate military camps to care for George's horse and equipment, to serve him, while George fought to keep Bass and millions of others enslaved forever. But something unexpected happened during those years. Bass learned skills that would later save his life and define his legacy. He learned to shoot. George taught Bass to handle rifles and pistols, probably so Bass could hunt game to feed the regiment. Bass became an expert marksman. He also learned to ride horses with skill, to track animals, and men through forests to survive in the wilderness. George Reeves had no idea he was training the man who would become the greatest lawman in American history. Bass was a large man, even by today's standards. 6 feet 2 inches tall, over 200 pounds of solid muscle, incredibly strong. In the 1860s, when the average man stood 5 feet 7 or 8 inches, Bass towered over most people. And he was ambidextrous. He could shoot a pistol accurately with either hand, and later in his career, he would draw 2 pistols at once and fire them simultaneously with deadly precision. Some reports say he could hit a target at 500 yards with a rifle. Others say he could shoot a man's hat off at 100 yards without touching his head, just to prove a point. But despite his size and his skills, Bass was still a slave. And in 1862 or 1863, something happened that changed everything. The exact date is uncertain because nobody wrote it down at the time, but multiple historians agree on the story. George Reeves and Bass were in a Confederate camp somewhere in Arkansas or Texas. George was playing cards, probably gambling with other Confederate soldiers. George was drinking. George was losing money. George accused Bass of cheating. It is not clear if Bass was even playing cards, because Bass was enslaved and had no money to gamble with, but George was drunk and angry and looking for someone to blame. George slapped Bass across the face. Then George began beating him. Now think about this. Bass Reeves is 24 or 25 years old at this moment. He is 6 feet 2. He weighs over 200 pounds. He has been trained to fight. He has been holding back his rage his entire life because he knows that if he fights back, he will be tortured and killed. But at this moment, a drunk George Reeves is beating him, and Bass makes a choice. Bass fights back. He punches George Reeves. 1 punch. George Reeves, a white Confederate colonel, a Texas state legislator, drops unconscious on the ground. Bass knows instantly what comes next. When George wakes up, he will tell the other soldiers. They will hunt Bass down. They will torture him as an example to other enslaved people. They will hang him. There is no trial for a black man who strikes a white man in Texas in 1863. There is only death, so Bass runs. That same night, Bass Reeves escapes. He takes George's horse, he takes a rifle and a pistol, and he rides north toward the one place in America where he might survive. Indian Territory, modern-day Oklahoma, a place outside the reach of Texas law, outside the reach of the Confederacy, a place where the 5 civilized tribes, the Cherokee and Creek and Seminole and Chickasaw and Choctaw, governed their own lands under treaty with the United States government. Some of these tribes owned slaves themselves. Some harbored escaped slaves. It was a gamble, but it was the only option. Bass crosses the Red River. He rides over 100 miles through dangerous country. Confederate patrols are everywhere looking for escaped slaves and Union sympathizers. Slave catchers are tracking runaways for bounties. Wild animals roam the forests. Bass has to avoid roads. avoid towns, avoid people. He is a fugitive with a price on his head, but Bass makes it. He reaches Indian Territory, and for the next 5 years, from around 1862 or 63 until the end of the Civil War in 1865, Bass Reeves lives among the Cherokee and Creek tribes. He learns their languages. He becomes fluent in Cherokee. He becomes fluent in Creek. He later learns Seminole and some Spanish. By the time he becomes a lawman, Bass Reeves speaks 5 languages, a skill that will make him invaluable in a territory where white marshals cannot communicate with the majority of the population. Bass learns tracking skills from native hunters that go far beyond what he learned in Texas. He learns to follow trails that are days or weeks old. He learns to read bent grass and broken twigs and disturbed soil. He learns to move through the forest without making a sound. He learns to survive on almost nothing, to find water to hunt and fish and stay alive in the wilderness for weeks at a time. And somewhere during these years, Bass meets a woman. Her name is Nellie Jenny. She is a free black woman, or possibly a woman of Creek heritage. The records are unclear. What we know is that Bass and Nellie marry around 1864. They will eventually have 10 children together. 5 boys, 5 girls. Bass will provide for his family for the rest of his life, and he will do it by becoming the greatest lawman the West has ever seen. 1865. The Civil War ends. President Abraham Lincoln has been assassinated, but the 13th Amendment to the Constitution is ratified. Slavery is abolished. Bass Reeves is legally free. He is 27 years old. He has survived being born into slavery, survived brutal labor in Texas, survived escaping and being hunted, survived 5 years as a fugitive in Indian Territory. Now he is free. But freedom in 1865 does not mean equality. It does not mean safety. It does not mean opportunity. Bass returns to Arkansas with his wife Nellie and their growing family. He buys land near Van Buren, Arkansas. He becomes a farmer. He raises crops. He raises horses. He keeps his head down. For 10 years, Bass Reeves lives a quiet life. He works hard. He provides for his wife and children. He stays out of trouble. And while he farms, the world around him is descending into chaos. Indian Territory, the place where Bass lived for 5 years, has become the most dangerous region in America. It is 76,000 square miles of land, governed by tribal nations under federal supervision, but there is almost no law enforcement. It has become a haven for outlaws, murderers, rapists, cattle rustlers, horse thieves, bank robbers, gunslingers, bootleggers selling illegal whiskey, swindlers. The worst criminals in America flee to Indian Territory because they know federal marshals rarely venture there, and when they do, they often do not come back. Between 1875 and 1890-65, United States Marshals will be killed trying to enforce the law in Indian Territory. 65. It is the most dangerous law enforcement job in the world. Most marshals refuse assignments there. The ones who accept know they might not return. Then, in 1875, President Ulysses S. Grant appointed a new federal judge to the Western District of Arkansas. His name is Isaac Parker. Judge Parker's jurisdiction includes all of Indian Territory, 76,000 square miles. And Judge Parker has a reputation. He believes in law and order. He believes in harsh punishment. He will become known as the hanging judge. During his 21 years on the bench, Judge Parker will sentence 160 men to death. 79 of them will be executed. Judge Parker does not play games with violent criminals, but Parker has a massive problem. Indian Territory is enormous. It is lawless, and he does not have enough marshals willing to go there. So in 1875, Parker orders his chief marshal, James Fagan, to hire 200 deputy marshals. Parker tells Fagan to recruit men who know the territory. Men who are not afraid. Men who can track outlaws through wilderness. Men who can survive in hostile countries. Someone tells Fagan about Bass Reeves, a black man living near Van Buren, a former slave who lived in Indian Territory for 5 years, a man who speaks Cherokee and Creek and Seminole, a man who knows the land better than any white marshal, a man who is 6'2" and can outshoot anyone Fagan has ever seen. Fagan meets Bass. Fagan offers him the job. Bass Reeves accepts. In 1875, at 37 years old, Bass Reeves pins on a badge and becomes one of the first black deputy United States Marshals west of the Mississippi River. His salary is $2 per arrest, plus 10 cents per mile traveled plus fees for serving warrants. It is dangerous work. It is low pay. Many marshals do not last a year. Bass Reeves will do it for 32 years, and he will become a legend. 32 years. 1875 to 1907. Bass Reeves served as a deputy United States Marshal longer than almost any lawman in the history of the American West. And his record is not just long, it is staggering. Let me give you the numbers, and I want you to really hear them, because these numbers prove that Bass Reeves was not just good at his job. He was the best lawman in American history, and it is not even close. Total arrests over 32 years. More than 3,000 criminals were brought to justice. 3,000. Some sources say 4,000, but even the conservative estimate is over 3,000. That is an average of nearly 100 arrests every single year. 2 arrests per week, every week, for 32 years. Think about that. Most marshals were thrilled to make 10 or 20 arrests in a year. Bass Reeves averaged 100 felons killed in the line of duty. 14 men. Every single one was killed in self-defense. Every single one was investigated and ruled justified. Bass never killed a man who was not actively trying to kill him first. Compare that to other famous lawmen. Wyatt Earp killed maybe 4 or 5 men, and half of those are disputed. Wild Bill Hickok killed maybe 7. Pat Garrett killed 2, and one of them was Billy the Kid. Bass Reeves killed 14, and all of them were trying to murder him. Times wounded in gunfights, 0, not once. In 32 years of chasing the most dangerous criminals in America, Bass Reeves was never shot, never stabbed, never wounded in the line of duty. This is almost supernatural. He was in hundreds of confrontations. He faced men who wanted him dead. He walked into ambushes. He kicked down doors not knowing who was inside. And he never took a bullet. His reputation for survival was so great that some outlaws believed he was protected by God or magic. Distance traveled: 75,000 miles, most of it on horseback or on foot. That is 3 times around the entire earth. Bass would ride his horse, a horse he named Sam, over 1,000 miles per month during busy periods. He would be gone for weeks or months at a time, tracking fugitives through swamps and forests and mountains, sleeping under stars, eating whatever he could hunt or buy from settlements. The territory he covered: 75,000 square miles of Indian Territory, all of modern Oklahoma, parts of Arkansas, Kansas, and Texas. This was not a mapped country. There were no roads in most places, no towns, no law, just wilderness and outlaws. And here is the most incredible part. Bass Reeves could not read or write. He was never taught because he was enslaved. Slave owners did not educate their slaves. It was illegal in most states to teach an enslaved person to read. So when Bass was given arrest warrants, he could not read the names or the charges. But Bass had a photographic memory. Someone, usually a clerk at the courthouse in Fort Smith, Arkansas, would read the warrant to him. They would show him the photograph or the sketch of the criminal. Bass would listen to the name, the crime, the description, and he would remember. Perfectly. Bass never brought in the wrong man. Not once in 32 years. He would ride out with a stack of warrants, sometimes 10 or 20 or 30 at a time, and he would remember every single face, every single name, every single crime. And he would track them down one by one and bring them back. Dead or alive, but preferably alive because Judge Parker wanted to hang them publicly as a deterrent. People who knew Bass said he could look at a photograph for 10 seconds and remember that face for years. They said he never forgot a trail, never forgot a landmark, never forgot a conversation. His mind was a filing cabinet that never lost a document. And this gave him an advantage over educated white marshals who could read but did not have his memory or his instincts. Now let me tell you how Bass worked, because this is where the legend really comes alive. Bass Reeves was not a brute force lawman. He was a strategist. He was a psychologist before psychology was a science. He understood that outlaws expected marshals to look like marshals. They expected a man in a badge and a clean hat riding a strong horse. So Bass gave them the opposite. Bass used disguises. He was a master of deception. He would dress as a drifter, a homeless man, in rags, begging for food. He would dress as a farmer, a simple countryman, with a wagon full of hay. He would dress as a cowboy, a preacher, a traveling salesman. He would change his voice, change his posture, change everything about himself. And outlaws would let him get close because they didn't recognize him as a lawman until it was too late. Let me give you one example. There was a case where 2 murderers were hiding in a creek settlement. They had killed a family during a robbery and fled into the territory. Every marshal who tried to find them came back empty-handed because the Creek community would not cooperate with white lawmen. The murderers had friends there. They were being protected. Bass heard about the case. He took the warrant. But he did not ride into the settlement as a marshal. He disguised himself as a traveling black preacher. He wore preacher clothes, carried a Bible, rode into town on a tired old horse. He asked if he could preach a sermon on Sunday at the local church. The Creek community, many of whom were Christian, welcomed him. Sunday morning, Bass preached. He preached about justice and sin and redemption. The 2 murderers attended the service. They sat in the pews listening to this preacher talk about the righteousness of God. After the service, people gathered outside. Bass shook hands. He smiled. He prayed with families. And then calmly, he walked up to the 2 murderers, pulled his badge from under his coat, drew his pistol, and said the words he always said. "You are under arrest. Come peacefully, or do not come at all." The 2 men were so shocked they did not resist. Bass arrested both without firing a shot. He walked them to his horse, tied their hands, and rode them back to Fort Smith. When Judge Parker heard the story, he laughed and said, "Bass Reeves could catch the devil himself if the devil had a warrant." Another case. There was a gang of 5 horse thieves operating near the Texas border. They had stolen over 200 horses from settlers and ranches. They were armed and dangerous. They had killed a marshal who tried to arrest them the year before. Bass took the case, but he did not go after them as a marshal. He disguised himself as an outlaw on the run. He let word spread that he was wanted for murder in Arkansas and was looking to join a gang. The horse thieves heard about him. They invited him to ride with them. Bass rode with this gang for 3 days. He helped them steal horses. He laughed at their jokes. He drank with them at night around the campfire. And on the 3rd night, when they were all asleep, Bass slipped away, rode to a nearby town where other marshals were waiting, and led them back to the camp. The gang woke up surrounded. All 5 were arrested without a single shot fired. Bass had infiltrated them, gained their trust, and betrayed them in the name of justice. One more example, and this one is legendary. There was a notorious outlaw named Jim Webb. Jim Webb had killed 5 men. He was hiding in a remote cabin deep in the woods, and he trusted no one. Every marshal who got within a mile of his cabin was shot at. Webb had supplies, ammunition, and a determination to never be taken alive. Bass decided to try a different approach. Bass disguised himself as a homeless drifter. He tore his clothes, rubbed dirt on his face, walked with a limp. He stumbled up to Jim Webb's cabin one evening, weak and hungry, begging for food. Jim Webb opened the door, saw this pathetic old man, and let him in. Webb gave him bread and water. Bass sat by the fire, thanked Webb, and told a fake story about being a former slave who lost everything. Webb felt sorry for him, and then Bass stood up, pulled his pistol, showed his badge, and said, "Jim Webb, you are under arrest for murder." Webb went for his gun. Bass shot him in the arm, disarmed him, tied him up, and dragged him back to Fort Smith. Webb later told other prisoners that he never saw it coming. He said Bass Reeves was the smartest lawman he ever met, and if he had known it was Reeves, he would have shot him through the door. Bass understood psychology. He knew criminals expected lawmen to look like lawmen. He knew people underestimate drifters and preachers and old men. He used prejudice against him as a weapon. White outlaws especially did not expect a black man to be a federal marshal. They saw a black face and assumed he was a servant or a farmer. By the time they realized who he was, they were already in handcuffs. But Bass Reeves's greatest test of character came in 1902. This is the story that proves Bass believed in law above everything else, above family, above blood, above love. The law was the law, and Bass Reeves would enforce it no matter who broke it. 1902. Bass is 64 years old. He has been a marshal for 27 years. He has arrested thousands of criminals. He has seen the worst humanity has to offer. Murderers, rapists, thieves, child abusers. He has brought them all to justice. But nothing prepared him for what Judge Parker would ask him to do next. Bass's son, Benny Reeves, is charged with murdering his wife. Her name was Molly Reeves. The details are brutal. Benny and Molly had been arguing. The argument escalated into a fight. Benny pulled a gun and shot Molly. She died. Benny panicked. He fled. He became a fugitive. And Judge Parker, who knew Bass Reeves was the best tracker in the territory, assigned the case to Bass. Imagine this moment. You are 64 years old. You have dedicated your life to justice. You have risked your life hundreds of times to bring criminals to face the law. And now the criminal is your own son, your flesh and blood. The boy you raised, the man who carries your name. Other marshals offered to take the case. They told Bass they understood that no father should have to hunt his own child. Bass refused. He said the law is the law. If Benny broke it, Benny would face justice, and Bass would be the one to bring him in. Bass tracked Benny for weeks. He knew how his son thought. He knew where Benny would run. He followed trails through the woods near the Canadian River, the same woods where Bass had arrested hundreds of men over the years. And finally, Bass found him. Benny was hiding in a camp alone, probably knowing his father would be the one to come. Bass approached on foot. He was alone. He did not bring other marshals. This was between father and son. Bass walked into the camp. Benny saw him. Benny did not draw his weapon. What could he do? Fight his own father. Shoot the man who raised him. Run and make his father chase him through the wilderness like a common outlaw. Bass spoke. We do not know exactly what he said, because Bass never talked about it publicly, but those who knew him said he probably said something like this. Benny, you know why I am here. You killed your wife. The law says you have to answer for that. Do not make this harder than it has to be. Come with me. Face what you did. Benny surrendered. He did not fight. He did not run. He let his father put him in handcuffs. Bass personally escorted Benny back to Fort Smith, Arkansas to stand trial. Bass testified at the trial. He testified against his own son. He told the court what he knew. He did not lie. He did not cover for Benny. He told the truth. Benny was convicted, not of first-degree murder, but of manslaughter, which carried a lighter sentence. Benny was sentenced to life in prison at Fort Leavenworth in Kansas. He served his time. Years later, Benny was pardoned and released. He lived the rest of his life as a free man. But Bass never spoke about the arrest again. Friends said it broke something in him, but it also proved something. Bass Reeves believed in the law more than he believed in his own blood. That is integrity most people cannot imagine. Now let me tell you another story that proves Bass Reeves was not just brave. He was fearless in a way that made evil men back down without a fight. This happened in the late 1880s or early 1890s. The exact date is not recorded, but multiple sources confirm the story. The Ku Klux Klan was active in the region where Bass worked. They terrorized black communities. They burned churches, lynched innocent people, drove black families off their land. And Bass Reeves was a problem for them. He was a black man with a badge and a gun. He was arresting white criminals. He was enforcing federal law in a place where white supremacists believed they were above the law. The KKK sent Bass a message. Stop arresting white men, or we will lynch you. Bass ignored the message. He kept doing his job. He kept arresting murderers and thieves, white and black and Native American, it did not matter to him. The law was the law, so the Klan decided to deal with Bass Reeves. They planned a meeting. 40 or 50 Klansmen gathered in a barn somewhere near the Arkansas and Indian Territory border. They were armed. They wore their hoods. They lit torches. They talked about how they were going to hunt down Bass Reeves, drag him into the woods, and hang him from a tree as a warning to any other black man who thought he could enforce the law on white people. Bass got word of the meeting. Someone, maybe a sympathizer, maybe an informant, told him where the Klan was gathering and what they were planning. Most men would have fled. Most men would have asked for backup. Most men would have hidden until the threat passed. Bass Reeves did the opposite. Bass rode alone to the barn where the Klan was meeting. He tied his horse outside. He walked to the entrance. He pushed open the door, and he stood there, silhouetted in the doorway, hand resting on the pistol at his hip, staring at 40 armed white men in hoods. The barn went silent. Every man turned to look at him. They recognized him. Everyone in that region knew Bass Reeves. They knew his face. They knew his reputation. They knew he had killed 14 men and never been wounded. They knew he had arrested over 2,000 criminals by that point. They knew he was the most dangerous lawman in the territory. Bass spoke. His voice was calm. He said something like this. "I hear you boys want to kill me. Well, here I am. Who wants to try first?" Nobody moved. 40 men with guns. 40 men who had come to that barn specifically to plan his murder. And not one of them reached for a weapon, because they knew. If they tried, Bass would kill at least 5 or 6 of them before they could bring him down. And nobody wanted to be one of those 5 or 6. Bass let the silence hang. Then he said, "That is what I thought. Now get out of here before I arrest all of you for conspiracy." The Klansmen dispersed. They left the barn. They rode away. Bass Reeves had walked into a Ku Klux Klan meeting alone and made them back down with nothing but his reputation and his fearlessness. That is the power of a legend. When your enemies know you will not hesitate, when they know you have never lost, when they know you are willing to die before you back down, they lose the will to fight you. But here is what you need to understand. Bass Reeves was not the only black hero of the West. He was not the only one erased from history. There were others. And when you see the pattern, when you see how many black heroes were written out of the story, you start to realize this was not an accident. This was a deliberate campaign to rewrite history and make the West look white. Let me show you the others they erased. Let me show you the pattern. And I want you to pay attention because this is how they stole your heritage. This is how they convinced generations of black children that the West wasn't their story. Cathay Williams, born into slavery in Missouri in 1844, freed during the Civil War. In 1866, just 1 year after slavery ended, Cathay Williams did something no woman had ever done. She disguised herself as a man, changed her name to William Cathay, and enlisted in the United States Army. She joined the 38th Infantry Regiment, the Buffalo Soldiers. These were all black regiments, but they were still all male, or so the Army thought. Cathay Williams cut her hair, wore men's clothes, deepened her voice, and passed the medical examination. The Army doctors either did not notice or did not care. She was in. For 2 years, from 1866 to 1868, Cathay Williams served as a Buffalo Soldier. She marched, she drilled, she stood guard. She survived the brutal conditions of frontier military life. She served in New Mexico Territory, the same dangerous region where Bass Reeves worked. She did everything the men did, and nobody knew she was a woman. Eventually, she became ill. The Army doctors examined her more carefully and discovered the truth. She was discharged in 1868, and then she disappeared from history. No photographs confirmed, very few records. Her story was buried for over 100 years. Why? Because a black woman soldier in 1866 did not fit the narrative. Hollywood could not make a movie about her. Textbooks could not explain her. So they ignored her. Think about the timing. Cathay Williams was serving as a soldier in the same era. Bass Reeves was escaping slavery and learning to survive in Indian Territory. Both of them are former slaves. Both of them served the United States government in the most dangerous part of the country. Both of them were erased. Now let me tell you about stagecoach Mary Fields, born into slavery in Tennessee in 1832. Freed after the Civil War. Mary was a large woman, 6 feet tall, over 200 pounds, stronger than most men. After the war, she moved to Montana. She worked for a convent of Catholic nuns, doing manual labor hauling freight and building structures. In 1895, when Mary was 60 years old, she got a contract from the United States Post Office to become a star route mail carrier. Do you know what that means? A star route carrier was an independent contractor who used a stagecoach to deliver mail in harsh, remote regions where regular postal workers refused to go. Mary Fields became the first black woman to carry U.S. mail, the second woman of any race to do it. She delivered mail in the mountains of Montana, in blizzards, in the freezing cold, through territory where bandits and wolves roamed. She carried a rifle and a revolver at all times. She fought off wolves that attacked her stagecoach. She protected the mail from thieves. And in 8 years of service from 1895 to 1903, she never missed a single delivery. Not one. Mary Fields was so reliable, so tough, so respected, that the town of Cascade, Montana closed the school on her birthday to honor her. White people in Montana, one of the whitest places in America, loved Stagecoach Mary. But history forgot her. What, because a 6-foot-tall black woman with a gun delivering mail in the Wild West did not fit the Hollywood image. So they erased her. Do you see the pattern? Yet, let me give you one more. Nat Love, born into slavery in Tennessee in 1854, freed at age 15 in 1869. Nat Love moved west and became a cowboy. Not a fake cowboy, a real cowboy. He worked cattle drives from Texas to Kansas. He broke wild horses, he roped steers, he rode broncos, and he was one of the best. On July 4th, 1876, Nat Love entered a rodeo competition in Deadwood, South Dakota. This was the same year Wild Bill Hickok was shot in Deadwood. The same year Custer was killed at Little Bighorn. 1876. The height of the Wild West. Nat Love competed against white cowboys, Native American cowboys, Mexican cowboys. He entered every event: roping, tying, riding, shooting, and he won. He won so decisively that the crowd gave him a nickname: Deadwood Dick. Nat Love became famous across the West as Deadwood Dick, one of the greatest cowboys alive. In 1907, Nat Love published his autobiography. He wrote down his entire life story, his years as a cowboy, his adventures, his victories, his struggles. The book was called The Life and Adventures of Nat Love, better known in the cattle country as Deadwood Dick. You can still find it today if you look hard enough. But here is what happened. White authors stole the name Deadwood Dick. They created a fictional white character named Deadwood Dick and wrote dime novels about him. Dozens of books. Deadwood Dick became a white cowboy hero in popular fiction. And Nat Love, the real Deadwood Dick, the black man who earned that name, was forgotten. Hollywood made movies about Deadwood Dick. They cast white actors. They never mentioned Nat Love. His autobiography was ignored. His story was buried. And for most of the 20th century, if you asked someone who Deadwood Dick was, they would tell you he was a fictional white cowboy. They stole his name. They stole his legacy. They made him white. Bass Reeves, Cathay Williams, Stagecoach Mary Fields, Nat Love. And these are just 4 examples. There were thousands more. 25% of cowboys in the West were black. 9,000 black cowboys working cattle drives, breaking horses, building ranches. 20% of the United States cavalry soldiers in the West were black. The Buffalo Soldiers. Tens of thousands of black men served. Black families homesteaded in Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Montana. They built towns. They owned land. They started businesses. They raised cattle. They mined for gold. They were teachers, blacksmiths, shop owners, ranchers, farmers. The West was full of black people. But when Hollywood created the mythology of the Wild West, they erased us completely. Do you see the pattern? Now, every time a black person succeeded in the West, every time a black hero emerged, they were written out of the story. If they could not erase them completely, they whitewashed them. They took Bass Reeves and turned him into the Lone Ranger, a white man in a mask. They took Nat Love and turned him into a white fictional character. They ignored Cathay Williams and Stagecoach Mary because they could not figure out how to make them white. This was not an accident. This was not a coincidence. This was policy. This was a deliberate effort to create a narrative that the West was settled and civilized by white men, and that black people were either absent or irrelevant. They built an entire mythology: cowboys and Indians, white hats and black hats, and they erased 25% of the cowboys and 100% of the black heroes. And the consequences of that erasure are still affecting you today, right now. Because when children do not see heroes who look like them, they do not believe they can be heroes. When black children grow up watching Western movies with only white cowboys, they internalize the message that the West was not theirs. That ranching is not black culture. That cowboy heritage does not belong to them, but it does. It always did. Your great-great-grandfather might have been a cowboy. Your great-great-grandmother might have homesteaded in Oklahoma. But you do not know because they erased it. They stole your history. And then they made money off it. Every Western movie, every cowboy TV show, every rodeo, every country music song about the Wild West. They are profiting from a mythology that erased your ancestors. If this truth is hitting you hard right now, if you are realizing how much was stolen from you, I need you to do something. Comment the word "truth" below. Let me know this information is reaching you. Hit that like button if you are done with the lies. Share this video with someone who needs to know. Your engagement fights erasure. Every comment, every like, every share is resistance against the system that tried to bury Bass Reeves and Stagecoach Mary and Cathay Williams and Nat Love and thousands of others. This is not just a history video. This is reparations. This is me giving you back what they stole. Your heroes, your legacy, your pride. Help me reach 100,000 people with this truth. Together, we force Hollywood to acknowledge Bass Reeves. Together, we force textbooks to include him. Your engagement equals Bass Reeves' legacy restored. And listen, some of Bass Reeves' descendants are alive right now. In their 80s, in their 90s. They deserve to see their ancestors honored before they pass. Do not let this story die with them. Comment truth. Hit like. Share this now. Now let me show you how they did it. Let me show you the exact mechanisms they used to erase Bass Reeves and thousands of other black heroes from history. Because once you see how the machine works, you can never unsee it. They used 4 methods to erase Bass Reeves and thousands of other black heroes from history: physical destruction, legal suppression, educational erasure, and media manipulation. Let me break down each one so you can see exactly how the machine worked. Physical destruction came first. After Bass Reeves died in 1910, many of his records disappeared. Federal archives in Fort Smith, Arkansas, where Bass worked for Judge Isaac Parker, experienced convenient fires over the years. Documents burned, arrest records vanished, files were misplaced, and it always seemed to affect records of black marshals more than white marshals. When Indian Territory became the state of Oklahoma in 1907, officials deliberately destroyed thousands of documents related to the territorial period. Land records, court files, property deeds, census data for black families. They said it was to start fresh with statehood. But the effect was erasure. Without documentation, you cannot prove your ancestor was a landowner. You cannot prove your family owned a business. You cannot prove you are owed anything. Compare that to white lawmen. Wyatt Earp died in 1929. Almost every document about his life was preserved. His home in Tombstone, Arizona is a museum. The OK Corral, where he had one famous gunfight, is a tourist attraction. Wild Bill Hickok died in 1876. The town of Deadwood, South Dakota built an entire industry around his legacy. There are statues, museums, reenactments, festivals. Bass Reeves arrested over 3,000 criminals. Wyatt Earp arrested maybe 50. Bass worked for 32 years. Wyatt worked as a lawman for maybe 5 years total. But Wyatt Earp has monuments everywhere. Bass Reeves did not get a statue until 2012, 102 years after he died. Think about that. A century of children growing up in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, never knowing the greatest lawman in their state's history was a black man. If you do not see statues, children do not ask questions. If children do not ask, history dies. That is physical erasure. Legal suppression came next. After Reconstruction ended in 1877, the federal government withdrew support for black law enforcement. Southern states passed new laws restricting who could be a sheriff, a marshal, a deputy. By the 1900s, most southern states had effectively banned black officers from positions of authority. When Oklahoma became a state in 1907, the new state constitution included segregation laws. Jim Crow came to Oklahoma, and Bass Reeves, at 69 years old, was forced to retire from federal service. The new state government did not want black U.S. Marshals. They wanted white control. Bass worked 2 more years as a city police officer in Muskogee, but his days as a federal lawman were over. The law itself erased him. And then there were the textbooks. From the 1920s through the 1990s, American history textbooks taught children about the Wild West. They mentioned Wyatt Earp. They mentioned Wild Bill Hickok. They mentioned Jesse James and Billy the Kid and Pat Garrett. They talked about cowboys and Indians and wagon trains and gunfights at noon. Bass Reeves was not mentioned once. Not in Oklahoma textbooks, not in Texas textbooks, not in national textbooks. Check your old school books if you still have them. Look up U.S. Marshals. Look up Wild West lawmen. You will find white faces. Always white. Bass Reeves arrested 3,000 criminals. Wyatt Earp arrested maybe 50. Guess who is in every textbook? Guess who children are taught to admire? This was not an accident. Southern states controlled textbook content in the early 20th century. They portrayed Reconstruction as black tyranny. They portrayed the Wild West as white civilization versus savage Indians. There was no room in that narrative for black cowboys, or black marshals, or black heroes. So they erased them. Even during Black History Month, Bass Reeves was ignored for decades. Schools taught the same 5 people every year: Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, George Washington Carver, Frederick Douglass. Nothing against them. They are heroes. But why only the same 5 people? Where are the black cowboys? Where are the black marshals? Where are the black soldiers who fought in the West? They were erased from education. Until the 2000s, Bass Reeves was not taught in Oklahoma schools, in his own state. The state where he worked for 32 years. The state where he is buried. Children in Oklahoma learned about white cowboys from Texas, but not about Bass Reeves, the greatest lawman their state ever produced. And then came the media manipulation. This is where the theft becomes crystal clear. 1933, a radio show debuts called The Lone Ranger. The character is a masked lawman who works with a Native American partner named Tonto. He operates in Texas and Indian Territory. He uses disguises to catch criminals. He is an expert marksman who never loses a gunfight. He uses silver bullets. He has a white horse named Silver. He fights for justice against outlaws. Does that sound familiar? That is Bass Reeves. Everything about the Lone Ranger matches Bass Reeves. The geography is identical. Bass worked in Texas and Indian Territory. The tactics are identical. Bass used disguises constantly. The partnership with Native Americans is identical. Bass spoke 5 native languages and worked closely with native deputies. The skill is identical. Bass was never wounded in 32 years. The timeline matches. Bass retired in 1907 and died in 1910. By 1933, 23 years later, his stories had circulated throughout Oklahoma and Texas. People told tales about the greatest marshal who ever lived. The creators of the Lone Ranger, George Trendle and Franz Stryker, both white men, heard these stories. And they took them. They took Bass Reeves' legacy and made him white. They put a mask on him so you could not see his face. And they made millions. The Lone Ranger became a radio phenomenon, then a TV show in the 1950s, then movies, lunchboxes, toys, comic books. One of the most profitable franchises in American entertainment history. And it was built on a stolen black hero. Bass Reeves' descendants never received a penny. Bass Reeves was never credited. His name was never mentioned. They took his story, painted it white, and sold it back to America as frontier mythology. And Hollywood did this over and over. They created an entire genre, the Western, and erased black people from it. From 1950 to 1970, the golden age of Western films and television, Hollywood produced hundreds of Westerns. Almost all had white casts. Black characters appeared as servants, slaves, background figures. Black cowboys were non-existent. Black marshals were invisible. The message was clear. The West was white. White men were the heroes. White men civilized the savage frontier. White men brought law and order. That was the story Hollywood sold. And it was a lie. 25% of cowboys were black. 9,000 black cowboys worked cattle drives. 20% of the U.S. cavalry were black soldiers. Thousands of black families homesteaded, ranched, mined-built towns. But Hollywood erased all of it. Even recent westerns continue the erasure. Django Unchained in 2012 had to invent a fictional black western hero because Quentin Tarantino either did not know about the real ones or chose to ignore them. The Lone Ranger film in 2013 cast Johnny Depp as Tonto and Armie Hammer as the Lone Ranger. Still white, still ignoring Bass Reeves. In 2023, Paramount Plus finally released a series called Lawmen Bass Reeves, starring David Oyelowo. 113 years after Bass died, he finally got a show with a black actor. But this should have happened in 1950. It should have happened in 1960. It should have happened in 1970. Bass Reeves should be as famous as John Wayne. Instead, they buried him for a century and only acknowledged him when the culture demanded it. This is how they stole your heroes. Physical destruction of records, legal suppression of black law enforcement, educational erasure from textbooks, media manipulation, and whitewashing. 4 methods. 1 goal: make you believe the West was white and black people were not part of the story. Now let me show you why this matters today. Right now, in 2025. Because the theft did not stop with history. The theft continues. And it is affecting your life, your family, your wealth, your children's future. The wealth gap. In 2022, the median white household in America held $284,310 in wealth. The median black household held $44,100. That is a ratio of 6 to 1. For every $100, a white family has a black family has $15. Why does this gap exist? They tell you it is because black people do not work hard enough, because we do not save money, because we make bad financial decisions. That is a lie. The wealth gap exists because they stole from us. Systematically, legally, violently, for generations. Let me give you one example that connects directly to what we have been talking about. The Tulsa Race Massacre, 1921. The Greenwood district of Tulsa, Oklahoma was the wealthiest black community in America. Black Wall Street. Over 35 city blocks of black-owned businesses, homes, churches, schools, doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, shop owners. Many families were millionaires. On May 31st and June 1st, 1921, a white mob attacked Greenwood. They burned it to the ground. 300 black residents were murdered. Over 1,200 homes were destroyed. Every business burned. 35 city blocks were reduced to ash. The attack was so brutal, white mobs dropped incendiary devices from airplanes. This was domestic terrorism using military tactics. After the massacre, black property owners filed insurance claims to rebuild. The insurance companies denied every claim. Why? Because city officials called it a race riot, and insurance policies had riot exclusions. The courts upheld the denials. Black families lost everything and could not recover a penny. But it gets worse. After the massacre, city officials changed fire codes and zoning laws to make it nearly impossible for black people to rebuild on their own land. They required expensive permits. They demanded construction standards black families could not afford after losing everything. Some black landowners were forced to sell their land to white buyers for pennies on the dollar. Property records were destroyed or altered. Land deeds disappeared. White officials used the chaos to steal land legally through the courts. By the 1930s, most of the Greenwood district was owned by white people or the city government. Black families who had been millionaires were now destitute. This was not ancient history. 1921. Your great-grandparents were alive. Some of you watching this are grandchildren of Tulsa massacre survivors. If those families had kept their wealth, if their businesses had not been burned, if their land had not been stolen, their descendants today would be millionaires. Multi-millionaires. The compounding effect of wealth over 100 years is staggering. But because they burned it, because they denied insurance claims, because they stole the land, the wealth was erased. And that is why the wealth gap exists today. Not because black people are lazy, but because every time we built wealth, they destroyed it. And this happened everywhere, not just Tulsa. Rosewood, Florida in 1923. Wilmington, North Carolina in 1898. Elaine, Arkansas in 1919. Ocoee, Florida in 1920. Springfield, Illinois in 1908. East St. Louis, Illinois in 1917. Dozens of prosperous black communities were burned, destroyed, and erased. Do you see the pattern? Now, every time black people built wealth, they destroyed it. Every time. This was not random violence. This was economic warfare. This was policy. And it is why the median black household has 15 cents for every dollar a white household has. The erasure of Bass Reeves is part of the same system. They did not just steal land and burn businesses. They stole heroes. They stole pride. They stole the ability for black children to see themselves as cowboys, as marshals, as pioneers, as conquerors of the frontier. When you erase someone's heroes, you erase their sense of possibility. When black children grow up watching westerns with only white cowboys, they internalize a lie. The lie that ranching is not black culture. The lie that the West is not black heritage. And that affects career choices. It affects where people choose to live. It affects identity. Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, the Dakotas. These states are less than 1% black. Why? Because black Western history was erased. Because black people were taught the West is not ours. So we do not go there. We do not buy land there. We do not build wealth there. But the West was ours. Bass Reeves rode 75,000 miles across Oklahoma. Thousands of black families homesteaded in those territories. Black cowboys built the cattle industry. And all of that was stolen. Not just the land, not just the money, the history itself, the pride, the legacy. And every time Hollywood makes a Western movie with white cowboys and makes hundreds of millions of dollars, they are profiting from stolen history. They are selling your ancestors' stories back to you with white faces. That is theft. Ongoing theft. But let me tell you something. You are not a victim. You are a survivor. You are a descendant of warriors. You come from Bass Reeves. You come from Stagecoach Mary. You come from Cathay Williams. You come from Nat Love. You come from the black cowboys who built the West. You come from the families who survived slavery, survived terrorism, survived erasure. That strength is in your DNA. Bass Reeves was born in chains, born as property. And by 37 years old, he wore a federal badge. He went from being owned to being the most feared lawman in America. Think about that. Think about the strength that required, the intelligence, the discipline, the courage. And that is your ancestor. Maybe not by blood, but by legacy, by heritage, by shared history. Your ancestors survived the Middle Passage. They survived 250 years of slavery. They survived Reconstruction. They survived Jim Crow. They survived lynchings and massacres and legal theft. They survived a century of Hollywood telling them they did not matter. And you are here because they were unstoppable. You are not poor because you are inferior. You are struggling financially because they stole from you. They burned Black Wall Street. They denied insurance claims. They changed zoning laws. They refused bank loans through redlining. They mass incarcerated your fathers and brothers to break up families and steal labor. They underfunded your schools. They polluted your neighborhoods. They denied you generational wealth. But here is what they couldn't steal: your spirit, your resilience, your brilliance, your faith. God preserved you through all of this for a reason, because you have a mission: to reveal truth, to demand justice, to teach the next generation, to reclaim what was stolen. God brought your ancestors through the Middle Passage. Why, so you could exist. God kept them alive through slavery. Why, so their legacy could continue. God protected them through Jim Crow terrorism. Why, so you could be born. God preserved Bass Reeves' story even when they tried to erase it for a century. Why, so you could learn it today. So you could know who you really are. You are descendants of legends. Bass Reeves arrested 3,000 criminals and was never wounded. Your ancestors built wealth from nothing and were terrorized for it. They kept going. They rebuilt. They survived. That DNA is in you. That strength is yours. You are not asking for handouts. You are demanding what was stolen. Reparations are not charity. Reparations are repayment. They owe you for stolen land. They owe you for burned businesses. They owe you for a century of Hollywood profits built on stolen heroes. They owe you for textbooks that erased your history and crippled your children's sense of identity. They owe you. When you demand reparations, you are not being greedy. You are being just. When you demand Bass Reeves be taught in every school, you are not being divisive. You are demanding truth. When you demand Hollywood fund Black Westerns, you are not asking for favors. You are demanding they stop stealing your stories. This is not about revenge. This is about restoration. This is about justice. This is about making sure the next generation knows the truth. This is about your children and grandchildren growing up, knowing they descend from the greatest lawman in American history. From cowboys who built the West. From families who owned thriving businesses before they were burned. From warriors who never quit. You carry that legacy. You are Bass Reeves' heir, not just Black people. Anyone who seeks truth. Anyone who demands justice. Anyone who refuses to let lies define history. You are part of this legacy now, and you have a responsibility to share this truth, to teach your children, to demand better, to never let them erase us again. So here is what I need you to do right now. Subscribe to this channel. Hit that button, because we are exposing hundreds more stories like Bass Reeves. Next video is about stagecoach Mary Fields, the first Black woman mail carrier who fought off wolves and delivered mail in Montana blizzards for 8 years without missing a single delivery. After that, we are covering Black Wall Street before the massacre. You will not believe the wealth they destroyed. This channel is Digital Reparations. This is your library of stolen history. Every video I post is a piece of your heritage returned to you. Hit that bell notification so you never miss when we drop these truth bombs. But it is not enough to just watch. You have to teach. Sit your children down tonight. Tell them about Bass Reeves. Tell them the greatest cowboy in American history was a Black man. Tell them Hollywood lied. Tell them textbooks lied. Tell them their ancestors were heroes, not victims. Print out Bass Reeves' picture. Put it on your wall. When people ask who he is, tell them. That is how we fight erasure. One conversation at a time. And then demand change. Contact your school board. Demand Bass Reeves in the curriculum. Send them this video. Tell them your children deserve to know the truth. Contact Hollywood. Demand a major Bass Reeves film with a black actor and a black director. Not a streaming show that barely anyone sees. A major theatrical release. Bass Reeves deserves what Wyatt Earp got. Museums, statues, movies, toys, lunchboxes, everything. Contact your elected representatives. Demand a Bass Reeves federal holiday. Demand reparations for Tulsa massacre descendants. Demand acknowledgement of stolen black wealth. Do not ask permission. Demand what is owed. Wyatt Earp arrested 50 people and has monuments in 3 states. Bass Reeves arrested 3,000 and got 1 statue in 2012. That is unacceptable. Demand better. Share this video. Send it to your family group chat. Post it on Facebook. Tweet it. Put it on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. Some of Bass Reeves's descendants are in their 80s and 90s right now. They deserve to see their ancestor honored while they are still alive. Do not let this story die with them. Share it now. This is not just about history. This is about your identity. This is about your children's future. This is about making sure the next generation knows the truth. This is about your children and grandchildren growing up, knowing they descend from greatness. You are not doing this for me. You are doing this for Bass Reeves, for Stagecoach Mary, for Cathay Williams, for Nat Love, for the 9,000 black cowboys, for the families of Black Wall Street, for everyone they tried to erase. You are their voice now. Use it. Let us pray. Father God, we come before you with hearts full of revelation and righteous anger. We thank you for preserving the story of Bass Reeves. We thank you for giving him the strength to escape slavery, to survive in the wilderness, to become the greatest lawman this nation has ever seen. We thank you for his integrity, his courage, his unwavering commitment to justice, even when the world denied him dignity. We lift up Bass Reeves and Stagecoach Mary and Cathay Williams and Nat Love and the thousands of black heroes whose names we will never know. We pray their sacrifices are honored. We pray their descendants receive justice and reparations. We pray their stories are told in every school, every film, every textbook in this nation. Vindicate their memory, Lord. Let truth prevail. We pray for everyone watching this video. Give them courage to demand truth. Give them strength to teach their children. Give them wisdom to see the patterns of theft and erasure that continue to today. Give them fire to fight for justice and reparations. Let this video be a seed that grows into a movement. We pray for the descendants of Tulsa massacre survivors, of Rosewood of Wilmington, of every black community that was destroyed. We pray for restoration. We pray for repayment. We pray they receive what was stolen. Bless those who seek truth. Strengthen those who resist lies. And may Bass Reeves's legacy live forever. In Jesus' name, amen. Bass Reeves, former slave, United States Marshal, 3,000 arrests, 14 kills, 0 wounds, 32 years of legendary service. They turned him white in the Lone Ranger. They erased him from textbooks for 110 years. But we remember, and we demand justice. Walk in truth. Demand reparations. Remember the theft. This is Dark History Stories. Until next time, build wealth, teach your children, and reclaim your heroes. Bass Reeves was the greatest. Never forget.